Well, before we start, I would like to ask everybody who listens now and who will listen in the archives that we say a prayer for all the people and the families of those affected by the shooting in Orlando. From the sound of it, it was terrorist inspired, which does not make many people very happy. But our hearts go out to those involved, families, the ones affected, the ones who've passed. And that's all I can say about it. Okay, looks like we're going to have sound problems because Jerome's not looking again. Heard you giggle. Why are we having sound problems? Hang on a second, I'm going to try something here. Okay, you there?
I am.
Okay. What I did was I muted you. I muted you and then I unmuted. Yeah, we sometimes have a problem. Not sure whether it's just me or everybody, but c'est la vie. Okay. Tell us about Cinnamon Moon as a child.
As a child, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I recall becoming aware of my abilities and guides at about 5 years of age. My first spirit guide came to me back then, and I'd come down with whooping cough. And back then they weren't vaccinating for it, and put me into a coma. And I was given a vision of going down on a pinwheel, and it was a spiral, and spinning and spinning, and it was red and white, and I was taking this white path, and that took me downward. And on the path, I met this old man who reminded me of my grandfather, and he'd recently crossed over from cancer, so I liked him right away. And he turned to me saying, "You're not supposed to be here." And then he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "Tag, you're it," and started running up the red path. So naturally, I was a kid. I chased right after him, and that's how he brought me up out of the coma. And when I awoke, I was tapping the pillow next to me, and I said, because back then when you were sick like that, you were at home, the doctor came to you.
Yeah.
Made house calls. So the family was around me, and they all thought I was hallucinating. But I knew I wasn't. And he's remained with me throughout my life as a guardian spirit, and he has introduced me to other spirits at times, too.
Very nice.
And then it was about that same time that I was introduced to my first totem animal, which was Wolf. And she came to me in the night as a shadow figure and would sit at the foot of my bed. And her pack came with her, and they'd crawl under the bed and gather in a tight little batch or circle, and they'd go to sleep. She'd sit there watching me, and it scared me. I was little. I didn't understand where the shadow was coming from. They don't follow you room to room, but she sure did. If I'd get up in the night and have to go to the bathroom or something, she'd be in there, and her profile would show on the wall, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing, creating that distinct profile in each room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I used to wake my grandmother up and say, "Grandma, stay awake until I come back." And bless her, she never questioned me. She just stayed awake and waited for me because I shared a room with her.
Mm-hmm.
But Wolf took me down many, many learning paths over the years, and through myth and lore and earth-based and nature-based traditions, and through the mystery schools and world religion as well as philosophy. So she encouraged me to follow my interests and curiosities. And in that, I learned about teaching others in a right manner for her. Her manner was very stern, but also very gentle and tolerant at the same time. So she encouraged me to be like that. So that was where the animals came into my life. And
Wow.
again, at that same time, I had my first experience with the element of air and the interaction with wind. I learned it was a sentient essence because it had come to play with me. It was tasseling my hair and blowing it in my face while I was busy pinning blankets and sheets on the clothesline, making a house for myself. And I got frustrated with it, brushing it out of my face, and instinctively talked to the wind, and I actually scolded it, and I said, go over there, and pointed out of my way, and it went over in that direction. And then naturally it came right back and repeated my hair in my face, and I sent it in another direction, and it went in that direction. And a third time, so I went, wow, it was really playing with me, and we became friends. And I learned how to send messages on the wind, to ride it if I wanted to, along spiritual lines, journey, and to summon it or send it on its way. And to this day, I still can do that, So it was very casual, very friendly with all of my guides, whether they were totem animals or spirit helpers or elemental forces. It was like you and I being friends,
Yeah.
Respectful, but it wasn't by any means wasn't formal. It was a very relaxed atmosphere. And that took me into my 20s when I began a little more formal study.
And formal study, did you go to school for it, or did you have
I studied mysticism and spiritualism and attended a spiritualist church for a time, looked into the mystery schools and witchcraft, and entered college and studied world religions and philosophies. In my late 20s, I reconnected with an old friend from school who was Lakota, and she shared her ways with me for about 6 years or so, and then her heart took her out of this world. So before she left, she made me promise to continue to study indigenous teachings, and I've kept that promise with great joy. My path led me to many wonderful indigenous teachers over the years from many different tribal nations. Been blessed in that. And all those years brought me a wide variety of teachers, both of this world and beyond it, and I've certainly been blessed and gifted with enough validation to know that the guidance I walk with is very real. I began sharing the sacred mysteries in my late teens with close friends that expanded to friends of friends of friends and their friends, and then into the public arena. I don't think I'll ever stop my passion. It burns strong, and it's
I hope you don't.
Dimmer.
Yeah, no.
I don't think I could. I'd be so.
Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as retirement. Yeah, there's no such thing as retirement from spirituality.
Well, there isn't, and everything becomes new again with every new client that I get involved with, and I just love what I do so much. So.
The first time that you gave somebody a reading, what was that like for you? Like the first time that you just like, not a.
I don't remember the very honest with you, but let me tell you about an early time.
Okay.
I was at my girlfriend's, and I was doing readings for her. She brought a friend over and introduced me to him, and I'd never met him before. And so she said, I want you to do a reading for him. And they didn't tell me why or anything. It was a blind reading. And I said to him, well, you're having an affair, and denied it. I went into some details about it, and he, oh, no. I said, really? And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, the cards don't lie. And I was doing tarot for him. And so I shuffled again and asked the same question and up again. And I said, yeah. I said, you're having an affair. And he goes, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this one more time. And if it comes up the same thing, I'm done. Right? Most naturally, it came up the same thing again. And I said, that's it. I said, you're either having an affair and you're lying to me. And he said, well, okay, but you can't tell my wife. I cracked up. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know you, let alone your wife.
Yeah.
But, this is a moral issue for you, and I can't judge it, but I can tell you that I can see it's going on, and then we went into the reading deeper, and he wanted more details. And
he had all the details. He was having the affair. Oh, my gosh.
It just, for me, it validated that I was picking up on truth, and sometimes people lie. So it was a lesson that people are embarrassed with the intimacies at times, and you have to give them the reassurance that there's confidentiality in the readings that you're giving so that the world doesn't know about it. So it was a lesson both ways. Don't lie to the reader and know that
there are some things you just can't hide. Oh gosh, yeah. For me, when I do either a reading or a rate treatment, I say what happens in my office stays in my office. Nothing goes out.
It has to. It has to. If we don't have credibility with our clients, then they're not going to be coming back.
Exactly. And it's like that you can't have somebody wondering, like for you with this gentleman, you can't go, oh my God, she's going to tell so and so and so, and eventually they'll get back to us. Like, no.
Yeah.
It's just what's there instead. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, that and they're worried about you're going to lord it over their heads or something.
Oh God, yeah. It's like blackmail.
Stories, people do it. People
yes.
People,
yes.
And,
oh gosh, yes.
So I think being in a spiritual arena, first place, it's an area where there's a lot of questions asked. There's a lot of unknown factors for the person that is patronizing it. And there's an awful lot of con artists in that field.
Yes.
So it gives the rest of us who are working from a spiritual perspective and very sacredly a bad name. And we have to keep reinforcing that, we work in ethical ways and let people know.
Exactly. Because I've actually heard of somebody, she was a tarot reader and medium and had a whole list of things that she once actually said that even if I don't get anything, I make up something so that the visitor is happy. And I was like, I was sort of new to the spirit world, and I was like, that that to me didn't sit right in my stomach. But and I don't have anything to do with this person. This person is not in my friend zone, so I'm quite pleased when I heard that. It's like, yeah, and then they deleted me, so I was like, okay, like ciao, see you later. Now I've it's not. I mean, it's not going to do me any good to sort of say, so this person said, somebody said it. And that's sort of what made me realize, like, I mean, I've been around a little bit of turbulence in spiritual world, and I can't. Many people that I see life through rose-colored glasses. Like, hello, I'm going to put them on if that's what because I like. Hi, Jen, it's me. Okay. Sorry, I just saw the words moving. I was like, okay. I like things to be. I know life is not perfect. Life is not all roses and butterflies. But I like it to be good. So when somebody tells me that, they're doing something deceptive, if I'd have known the person better, I would have said something to the person, but I didn't know this person well enough to actually talk to them, and I have a feeling that's maybe why I got deleted as a friend and blocked.
Well, you
So
know what? And she wasn't a very good friend to begin with, so you
no,
didn't lose anything.
no,
And you
exactly.
don't want to be associated with somebody like that anyway, because it's just going to be a poor reflection on you.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I think.
I think teaching to a global client base online and by phone these days, I mean, it's easier with the internet, but it really puts you in touch with a lot of people, and
Yeah.
people that you never would have reached before. And
No.
the good work that you do has a greater reach, and
Yep.
I think that's a blessing. It also brings you into contact with people of all sorts too, you
Mm.
know. And I think one of the early lessons that I had was to be non-judgmental.
Yep.
You know, we can't, just because we've learned a lesson doesn't mean that somebody else has learned it. So if they are working in a path of service from a deceptive standpoint, that's a lesson
Eventually.
they've got to learn. It's going to come
Yeah.
back to bite them one way or another.
Mhm.
People talk,
Exactly.
they tell their friends, and they say, "Oh, don't go to that person because they're, you know, they nothing they say comes about or whatever."
Yeah.
They're making things up. They had to be because none of it ever happened, you know, and
Yeah.
bad news travels like wildfire. Good news travels slow. It takes a lot to
Exactly.
build a good reputation, and
It does. It
it
does.
can be destroyed so quickly. So I think
Yep.
we have to be very careful.
Yeah. It does. And you're right. The World Wide Web has opened up so much, like from where I live to where you live, and Jennifer
Sure.
Journey, who's in the chat room. It, I have friends in the UK now, in New Zealand and Australia. I would never have been able to meet them just in my
Right.
little town, you know.
Mhm.
So I love the doors that it's opened, not just friend wise, but for me to learn with, you know. And I think
Right.
this is, and from you I learned a lot.
Oh, well, thank you.
You know, I
You
love.
know, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Whoop. Good. I
I
said
was
I
just
love listening to you. I love listening to your show because, like I said, even when I don't get to, if I don't have anything to say, and like when you stopped doing readings, that was like I was actually sitting there going, "Yay! I get to hear you more. I get to hear," because
Well, I think when you do readings on the air, and this is just my personal opinion, because now and then I still do them, but
yeah,
it's a special occasion. I think that the caller is being shortchanged. That's just my personal opinion, because a reading, a good reading, can take 20 minutes to an hour
yeah,
for you to get to the details and bring everything up that the message contains. And when you've got 2 or 3 or 5 minutes or 10 minutes with somebody on the air, you're jumping all over the place and you're not getting any substance for them. It's
yeah,
it's like a flash snapshot. You didn't
yeah.
see the whole party. You just saw that person sitting on the couch. You know, it's
True.
not enough. And so I feel that people are being shortchanged, and that's why I quit doing them.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you still do that every so often. Like you pulled for your birthday, and I was like totally stoked when you did that. I was like, oh, cool. You know, but
Yeah, on special occasions I'll do them, you know,
yeah,
just
but
for fun.
it's great because you tell your stories. You have your guests, and your guests tell their stories, and if a person actually then listens, not just waiting for the reading, but listens to what you're saying, they can learn so much.
Yeah,
And so
I like sharing. What I share on the radio is an overview of the in-depth lessons that I can bring somebody to, because
yeah,
when I'm working one-on-one with somebody, their issues and their idiosyncrasies and their gifts and their abilities are the main focus.
hmm
When I'm on radio, I have to take it in a general sense where it applies to everybody. So I'm bringing in, well, some people will get it this way, some people will get it that way, and different variations of things. But I am a very strong proponent of spiritual foundation and free will, so I encourage everybody to find a tradition that they they can resonate with and get those foundations in place, because the most expedient of developing their latent gifts and abilities and meeting their guides and spirit helpers and discovering the path that's really meant uniquely for that individual.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you feel that everybody has the ability? Because I know a lot of people have their own opinions.
We're born with it. It's our birthright. We all have sensory abilities. I mean, we can all see, or we can hear, or we can touch, or smell, or taste. We have those senses. And if we're deprived of one in the physical sense, like maybe we're blind or maybe we're deaf, then our other senses become stronger and make up for the weak one, correct?
Yeah, very true.
Okay. And when you get into spiritual development, you're taking those same senses, but you're taking them up to a new level of awareness and consciousness. And you take in new perspectives. And when you do, those senses come alive. They, instead of not thinking about your sense of smell until you smell popcorn popping somewhere, or you smell dinner when you walk in the door, or you're driving by a restaurant and you can smell their charbroiler cooking food. That's normal. That's everyday stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting in a closed room and you smell a waft of your mother's perfume or your father's aftershave or your grandmother's favorite flowers, and there's nobody in that room with you, and there's no open windows or doors, something extraordinary is beginning to happen. And so our senses kick up a notch. Our awareness raises to that, where's this coming from? Who's here? Whose scent is that? All of a sudden we're expanding our awareness and our consciousness, and we're tapping into something, and we can usually place who that scent belongs to. And it may not be a scent, it might be a feeling or an essence of some sort. But whatever way something is coming through, our sensory impressions become extraordinary.
Yeah. I had that one.
Where extrasensory perception comes in. That's what it means. We're taking our senses an extra step forward.
That's true.
So, yeah,
like
anybody can do it. We're all born with that.
I had that once where I'm sitting in my office, and for no apparent reason, I could smell peanut butter. Now, I haven't had peanut butter in, I don't know how it's in my kitchen, but I could smell, and I still haven't figured out. Every so often I'll still get the whiff of peanut butter, and nobody is allowed in the room besides me, so it's not like my son's in here eating peanut butter and jam sandwich because I'd kill him. But I get that peanut butter smell every so often, so I'll figure it out eventually. But,
was there somebody in your life when you were growing up that was fond of peanut butter or served it frequently? Like in my family, if we didn't like what was being served for dinner, we ate what was being served, or we had the option of a peanut butter sandwich or going to bed with nothing.
Oh, we didn't have the option.
So if I smelled peanut butter, I would think of my mother. That was her rule.
Okay.
Peanut butter or nothing. Don't like what's being served. So that's, that's the way I'd respond to it, but that's my symbology with peanut butter. You're going to have yours. I think that's important to express to people, too. Everybody has their own personal symbology, and then there's universal symbology that is it's going to mean something across the board. But to you, it might mean something totally different, and we're always supposed to take what it means to us strongest first. Always.
I think
guidance comes through by picking. They understand our thoughts, and how we perceive and how we think. So they take things from our minds and show them to us and convey their messages that way.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'll have to think on that. I think the person that comes to my mind is my father, because he used to, when we were sick, he used to make us peanut butter and caramel on toast.
Well, there you go. So maybe that's your
never
father
thought
letting
about
you
that.
know he's close.
Yeah, because I used to smell his Old
Sometimes
Spice
that's all they
cologne.
can do is let us know that they're with us.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like they're saying, "Hi, I'm okay. I'm over here watching over you."
Yeah. Okay, that would be. I gotta behave then.
So say
Yes,
hi,
Dad.
Daddy.
Hi, Daddy. It's when I smell his Old Spice cologne. That's when I know I'm in trouble.
My dad wore that too, and I loved it.
I will not allow any of the boys in my house to wear Old Spice because that is
Really?
my fault.
That's your dad's scent, yeah.
Yeah. So they all know that, and I don't think they really like it, so I don't care. But if I smell it, that's when I was around. That's when I'll start having little conversations with them. I might have conversations with them normally, but it's like, that's his way of saying hello. Like peanut butter, that could be him too. It's like, I'm tired of the Old Spice.
He may have different ways of showing it to you.
Yeah, true. I'm just waiting for him to smack the back of the head. So I'm just like, okay, Daddy, I'll behave. Now, you have a book out.
I
A
do.
medicine woman speaks. Hold on. I actually uploaded the picture. Because I was like, okay, yes. How did you come about writing the book?
Well,
1 second.
I had been writing fantasy stories for years.
Yes, you
And
still do, and I love them.
trying to get those published. And guidance was steering me to teach spirituality through those stories. So I was weaving the truth into them with the characters.
Okay.
And letting them speak the truth. And this was back in the 70s and 80s when spirituality was really kind of just coming to the social service.
Okay.
Where it was in vogue to talk about it, and people weren't giving you too strange a look. It wasn't as popular as it is today, or as accepted. Let me put it that way. It wasn't as accepted back then. And pardon me. Guidance was pushing me, and my daughter River was pushing me to write what you know and talk about it. So I began drafting a book, and back then the title came about because there weren't many women that were writing about spiritual matters. It was mainly a male-dominated genre.
Mm-hmm.
And so A Medicine Woman Speaks, I think there were maybe 5, 6 of us that were in print at that time. That was back in the early 2000s. But it's an overview of shamanic spiritual principles as seen through different traditions and cultures. And I wanted to offer a conversational approach with insight into the common threads, the universal teachings of the sacred mysteries that we all seek to understand. So I took a very practical understanding to what shamanism and other nature-based traditions entail, and how they take nothing from any religious beliefs that someone may hold. I thought that was very important to bring to people's attention. And there's a blending of the feminine and masculine ways as I share my personal insights into what we all have the capable right to explore in ourselves. So, and my publisher put the subtitle that it's an exploration of Native American spirituality, and while there's some of that touched on, it's a much broader spectrum than just Native American.
Okay. I'm having sound problems, I think.
Oh.
Yep. Okay, there you go. You're back. Every so often. Not long. But yeah, no, I want to get your book, so I will get it, and next time I get back on, we'll talk more about the book, what I read, and questions I have. Because I read books, and then I have questions, and then it's like, I'll get you back on to talk more.
I talk about the purification and readiness and creating sacred space, because it's so important when working with guidance and our totems, and how we all have spirit helpers, and we can all learn to connect with them and learn to dialogue by coming to understand their languages and their ways of communicating with us. There's also in the book several different exercises that allow the reader to experience a taste of the spiritual path and what it is to walk between worlds. So I've touched on how to begin uncovering their own gifts while taking a solid look into the forces of nature and a discussion on the importance of developing a spiritual philosophy. So it's an umbrella of what spiritual development is about.
It's a beginning. It's an opening of a door and makes people to think. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I think an author of any book can do just that. They can take you to a door, but it's up to you to step through it and do something with it.
Yeah. I think I look at it the same way as our guides. For me, anyway, they'll like, okay, I know in my head I'm going, I want to do this, but you know, I might see something else that I'm guided to. It's like, hello, Darlene, look over here. It's like there's a nice door. So it's my choice whether to walk through that one or to continue where. Eventually, I know I get where I'm going to go, but you know.
Well, we do wander on and off our path throughout life and take some side trips sometimes, you know, but even the side trips are kind of like a cul-de-sac. They bring you right back to the main road.
Yeah.
And we keep finding ourselves on that main road, and eventually we realize that, okay, I'm taking a side trip out of curiosity, but I'm coming back to what I know.
Yeah.
And where I know it's taking me, and you get very familiar with the main road and what the side roads can lead you into. So, but we come back to it over and over and over again. I don't think we ever get off it, because it ultimately, it's not our physical journey through this life, it's our spirit's journey through this life. Our physical body is the vehicle through which that spirit is making its journey, the reason we're alive. It animates us. And we need to start looking through the eyes of our spirit into the world. And when we do, we see the spirit inside everybody. That's beautiful. That's when you really start taking on some amazing perspective. When you stop judging people, start becoming discerning, you say, well, I'm sorry that you're walking that path, but I can't change it for you. You've got to change it, and I've got to go my way, you know.
Exactly. You have to change it for yourself, not for somebody else, Yeah. I wish.
Say, well, thank you for walking with me on my path. You know, I mean, our paths are joined for a time. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It gets exciting when you've got somebody to share it with.
It's true. That's true. And we meet a lot of people along our way. I've met a lot of interesting people.
And beautiful people, too.
Yes. Some very interesting. No, I'm kidding.
That, too.
Yeah. The special friends that want to become your friend. It's like, no thanks.
Well, yeah, you don't know. But
yeah.
I think
things are crazy out there.
When we can embrace that we are one big global family, and stop seeing the boundaries. I'm not saying this on political terms. I'm saying it on spiritual terms. We're all indigenous to Mother Earth.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what our ancestral homeland was. We may be tied to something there, and we may not be tied to something there. Maybe our ancestors were here in the country of our origin for a specific reason to facilitate something there. But when we recognize that we are all indigenous to Mother Earth and we become a global family, and the prejudices fall to the wayside and the judgments fall to the wayside, and it makes a huge difference.
That's true.
And we start respecting and finding sacredness in everybody and everything. What it's about.
Yep, very true. It's kind of like when I where I work, when I have to train a new employee, and I say, you know how I said I treat everybody who walks in this place like my family. I said, you know how when you have Christmas dinner, everybody's around the table, there's an uncle or a cousin that you really don't want to talk to, but mom says behave.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's what you still got to behave. For me, everybody I meet is part of my heart family. They may not be part of the blood, but they're part of my heart. So to me, everybody is family. You have some very special cousins and relations.
Crazy aunts and uncles like us, huh?
Yeah. I'm not saying anybody. Yeah. But
well,
you.
I'm the one that warn everybody about my family, so that's okay.
Really? Well,
I'm joking.
when I told
they all know me.
Yeah, I'll go, oh, Cinnamon, she's got dinner again.
You're my crazy auntie.
Yeah, for me, it's we warn everybody about my brother.
Oh.
No, he's the sane one.
Yeah.
But no, I remember when I came out of my spiritual closet, and I told my mother my biggest hurdle for me was to tell my mother who I am and what I do. And I'm pretty sure she knew, but she has memory problems, so it's like, when I told her, and she proceeded to call my brother up and tell my brother, and I hadn't had a chance to call my brother and let him know. And my brother calls me on the job, and he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm working. He says, I hear you're a medium. I went, no, I'm a large. What the hell? I said, call me at home. So when I got home, he called, like, it was almost like he had a camera in my house. It's like, call me at home. So what the hell is this shit doing? What am I doing now? And then he proceeded to explain what my mother said. I was like, okay, and? He says, what is that? I said, it's exactly what it is. I am, I'm doing healing, energy healing, and you never did that before. I said, I just didn't let you know about it before.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, well, okay, whatever. It's like, okay, bye.
Well, it's very challenging for most of us to go from the private sector to the public sector and be open, about our spiritual practices and the way we go. Every time I stepped out of one comfort zone and went into another one, I was challenged. I had insecurities. I wanted people to accept me, and I didn't want to be mocked for what I believed and what I knew to be true. Yeah. And I had grown up in a time when it was frowned upon. Basically, I mean, until 1978 in the United States, you couldn't practice these things. If you did, you could be jailed for it. So this is why people talked about it behind closed doors and in whispers. They just didn't dare bring it out in the open. And then after 78, when it was reinstated that any religion could practice openly, things started to change, really. The underground came up from seeds into sprouts and started reaching for the sun, and everything started changing then. But it was still a process. Yeah. And I remember when we created the study center. That was back in 2000. And we started with a handful of pages, maybe 4 or 5 pages on the website, and that was it. Now look how many pages there are. I mean, there's. You
haven't even finished upgrading. I'm still waiting.
No, we're still doing the library, downloading or linking it. We've got the articles in there, but we've still got some sections of the library to go in. They're major sections.
Because I back every so often.
Haven't been linked up yet, and
I know.
I think there's 300, 400 totem animals that have to come up, so we've got a ways to go yet. But the new site is going to be user-friendly. friendlier than it has been. And there'll be a media page where you can find links to the show and the Facebook group and other media events and videos and different things that we're sharing with people. And there are pages for readings and pages for coaching sessions, and somebody can come in there and they can study independently, or they can get help if they want it. And that's the way we want the website to be. Your choice, designed with the user in mind, and not judging anybody for the course that they take. You can follow our suggested course and expedite your studies, or you can go randomly and follow your own interests. It doesn't matter. As long as you're looking, I'm cheering you on. You know.
Yeah. I took one from you. The very first one I got from you was grounding. I can't remember it now.
Centering, grounding, meditation, and prayer.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have it, and I keep going over it, and I had to put it in plastic because I just sort of, I want to distance it, you know, because sometimes things stick in my brain, so I have to keep rereading it. For me, things to stay, read and write, and I'm okay. So that's why I take notes or things. I was like, okay, I got to remember.
Now, all my seminars are, at this point in time, are written out. So I send them as an email attachment to anybody that orders one. And I think that's good for them because it is written out, and they can go back and, like you're saying, and reread and restudy, and they're reasonably priced. So
they are. And
not an arm and a leg. It's something that you can.
No, sometimes some things people put out there are people want to learn, but sometimes the budget is it's just like down here, and the price of it is up here. So we have different ways to get there, but yours, your prices are like very, very good.
Yeah.
And if I can afford,
well, it's $20 a seminar. That's not bad. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
well, that's
most people can afford that, and you can work.
These days,
it's
a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, pretty much, and you can work at your own pace. So there's nobody pushing you that you have to finish by this time or that time, or you have to move so fast. Just do what you want to do. You know,
exactly.
And the site's set up for that. So I'm really happy with the new site that we're doing. We're remodeling.
I put the links in the chat room.
Thank you.
When you first put up the link, I was like, let's go. And I was like, wait a minute, it's all finished. And then I looked at like, okay, this is never going to be finished. You're just like, it's not that it's never going to be finished. It's just that you've got so much to add and
we had 1,100 pages.
Wow. Shoot.
From one site to the new address. And we are over halfway there now, and most of it is self-serving for the seeker. And whatever isn't working, that's why I always list spiritlodge.info and the new address, which is spiritlodge.5u.com. And the 5u.com is the new site.
Yep.
And so I'm very pleased with the way it's developing, but we need to get it wrapped up, and hopefully before the summer is out, or at least before the snow flies again, we'll be done with that.
That's a 4-letter word, Cinnamon. Don't use that word.
I know, I'm not ready for it.
But like I said,
getting the heat wave, so.
My little maple tree is already changing colors because it's been cold here weeks.
You were saying that. Oh,
my little tree is screaming out at me and going, I didn't do it. Bring him in the house.
Oh, well, that's too soon.
Yes, it is. But it always seems to change early because it's still, I think because it's still young, it doesn't adapt well with the nasty Quebec weather.
Yeah.
For 1 week straight, it'll be like blistering hot. Yep.
It does that, and that's what makes the trees hardy, though, is when they learn to adapt. So it's probably in the process. But I think that you go out and give it a hug, maybe it'll help.
When it warms up.
Yeah, tell it
I'm
to
seriously
hold
going to be
on to
putting
that
on a winter
color a
coat.
little longer, please.
Yeah, I like the green. I like the green.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. It's good to see.
Though, mind you, my favorite seasons are spring and fall. So,
Mine too.
I'm not too...
I love the fire in the hills, and I like it when the color returns in the spring.
Yes.
And then as it's leaving, it just flares. We get a lot of color here in the Midwest, and
Yeah.
The four seasons are so distinct. And
Tell me
I don't
about
know.
it.
For me, that just makes nature, religion,
Yeah.
spirituality come more alive. You can watch the wheel of the year turn.
Very true. Very true. I sit there and when people go like, okay, winter's over, but it's still got snow on the ground in April. Old man winter's being a grumpy old SOB. He doesn't want to let the pretty girl spring come along. I got to blame it on the guy somehow.
That's cross-quarter energy. That's when one season is leaving and another is coming in, and they're both juggling for rulership. And so we get one that, like little stories on the group page with my wizards,
I love your stories. I sit there and I read them every time they come out.
I have fun with them. The wizards are actually the seasons, and so they fight for domination. And they're brothers. I got four brothers and several sisters.
Well, when you put all your stories into a book, that's a book I'm going to buy.
Oh, well, thank you.
Eventually,
I had one lady tell me that she would read the stories from the web page to her son at night, and he'd say, "Read it again, Mommy, read it again." He liked it.
That is so nice.
That was sweet.
That makes sense. They were good stories.
They're very short adventures, a few paragraphs and it's over. But I mean, it is the seasons that are shifting and the cross-quarter energies. And when we learn to recognize them, it tells us a lot about what's taking place, not just in the physical world, but in the spiritual world too, because they'll talk to us there as well.
Yep, very true.
And that's what our foundations teach us, is how to recognize the elemental forces that are at play and the seasons that they rule over. Air rules over spring and new beginnings and conceptions, and then fire rules over physical experiences we have with things and our faith and what we can trust in and what we can't trust in, and sometimes trials by fire or lessons by experience. And we get to water, and that's the deep introspection and our reflective qualities, our healing and nurturing abilities. And you get into earth, and that's what's coming from the heart, our sustenance and what us, and the wisdom that we have gone through the other seasons. We can apply it, and we know where to apply it and what battles to pick in life and what to stand back from. And so they all represent different things to us. And when we learn, I mean, those are just quick attributes, but I list 20, 30 attributes for each season, but as you get in and you really fully understand them, they say a whole lot to you. And when you're learning to read totem animals, and because most of the time they will do body language to us, so the direction they come from says something, and the direction they go to says something, and how they move their body in and from those directions says something, and it takes everything to a whole new level. So the foundations are valuable, very valuable. And I think when we don't have them, what we have is an eclectic base to work from, and sometimes that can serve us very well, but it still leaves a lot of gaps, and the foundations fill those holes. So I really am big on it. Still eclectic.
Yeah.
Grab whatever you're experiencing. If it serves you, take from it. But get your foundations in place, and you'll see them in every single tradition you encounter, expressed differently, but they'll be there.
They'll be there, exactly. Yeah, that's so true. One of the things that I like a lot about you. One of the things I like about you is your daughters are involved in
Oh, yeah.
your.
Yeah.
Well, I met River and Gypsy. Now, are those the only children you have? The two girls?
They're mine, yes. My husband and I, between us, we have 6. So, but
You're a goddess.
my 2 girls, River and Gypsy, are both. They were both raised with spirituality, so they developed in their own ways, and they developed their own style of path work, and I'm very proud of both of them.
Yeah, and River Wildfire, she's got the perfect name for her, and Gypsy as well for the little bit of connections I've had with them.
Yeah,
They have, oh gosh, yes, they are interesting girls, and I like it when River comes on the show with you. Sometimes it's like I just sit back and listen, and it's like interesting sparks fly. It's like I can see when you said she's the one who pushed you to write the book. I could see like, yeah, that would make sense. She would be the come on, Mom. Yeah, my daughter is somewhat the same. Maybe not as vocal. Maybe I just don't listen as much.
Well, you have to nudge them sometimes, but Rivers calls herself a paranormal archaeologist. And this is because she has always, always, always questioned everything to the max. Where Gypsy would jump in with both feet and say, let's explore this, River would stand back and say, let me see what happens to Gypsy,
It's like, you go first, Gyp.
You show me that you're who you say you are. Yeah, so, and Gypsy would say, I'm going to check out and see if I can find out if you are who you say you are. So they'd come at it from 2 different angles.
Yeah.
And they're both very different, but they both have right attitude with wanting to work for the higher good.
Yeah.
And that I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah, they are very sweet. When they want, they can be very spitfiery, but they're both very sweet girls. I like listening, and I follow them. Well, more Gypsy's very quiet. I don't see much of her, but River she's always there, and I like listening to her. I like watching.
Gypsy is active. She's got a couple pages on Facebook, and she's active there. And then she has her website. So, and River has River Wildfire Network, and Gypsy has Gypsy Moon Magic, and she's a paranormal investigator and medium, and River is a paranormal archaeologist and medium, and again, it reflects their different angles that they come at the spiritual realms, the mysticisms and metaphysical aspects of things, and that's fine because that's who they are, and it should reflect them. Yeah, and that's what I try to bring across to my clients too when they come to me for coaching. We all have our unique style that will develop as we lay our foundations in place. And as that comes forward, we find out how resonant we are with it. And our confidence grows, and our self-empowerment grows with it because we can walk with our heads up and say, this is who I am and what I do and where I'm coming from, and not doubt ourselves.
Yeah.
That's something
that's important.
Hard for a lot of people to get over because you're afraid to trust what you're picking up.
Okay. Ma! It's but I thought I turned my phone off. It's okay. But yeah, you give them the foundation, and then you let them blossom into the colors and the ways that they want, which is really awesome. You do that, and just the way you speak about your clients, you do the same thing to your client, not your clients, but with your students.
Uh-huh.
You have many people who follow you, and I've, so it's like you allow us, because I'll sit there and sometimes I'll message you and I'll say, okay, can I have a question? And you answer. And what I like about you as a teacher is that you don't just tell a person, give them the whole, here's the answer. You'll, again, point them in the direction, point us in the direction, say, okay, this is what you could be doing, or you could, you sort of like give both sides and say, okay, now find which one suits you, which is really.
Absolutely. It has to. You have to feel right with what you're embracing. And I don't teach blind faith. I teach your reality. You find your reality and you experience it. And once you experience it, embracing it isn't hard to do. It happened. It's real to you.
Yeah.
It's your experience. And that's what validates the teachings. When you take a teaching and you employ it and you have an experience, there's your validation. It's that simple. And the whole process is that simple. There's much we can learn. And, nobody knows everything. That we're not omnipotent or anything like that. But we have the ability to tap into omnipotency, like consciousness, into Creator and Mother Earth and their sentient essences and so much more. And if we learn to tap into it, we can tap into a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
What you get might be different from something I get, but they're all truths.
Right.
They just take us in the directions of our interest and our needs. And that's what we're here to do. And we could all do this as spirits prior to taking human form. Okay? We were all connected to that prior to taking human form. When we step into the human body as our vehicle, come into physical life, as a child, how many times do you hear that the child remembers a past life or has these gifts and abilities and exercises them, and the parents shut them down and say, okay, time to quit playing pretend. Get back into reality now. And they shut that down, and then as an adult, they have to learn to reopen to that. Because it is that childlike wonder that keeps us connected. It is our inner spirit that is the connection point, And so if we can keep it open, then we can stay connected.
Yeah.
I was blessed being able to do that in a family that was permissive, and I made sure that my girls had that growing up. And because of that, my grandchildren have that. And I know it will continue to be passed on.
Yeah, because we leave that the
door stays open. It doesn't
exactly.
Shut.
And there's no judgment when, like you say, when and Jennifer said way too often are we hushed and okay, you've outgrown your imaginary friend now. Let's go out and find some real friends, sort of thing. So yeah.
And our imaginary friends as children are very often
our guides and our angels.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, they are. And we don't realize it because we're just playing with friends.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying earlier in the show. When I started out, they came to me as friends.
Yep.
And we played together, but they still taught me things. They still said, as you grow, you have to be a good girl. You have to do it right. It has to be in a right manner. And the reassurances were there. They would tell me, be a good little witch, because that's what I could relate to. I related to, and it may sound crazy to people, but when they told me that, I related to Casper the Friendly Ghost and Wendy
the Good Witch.
Yes, the cartoon.
Yes.
Because she was good, but she was magical at the same time. And so I could relate to that, and Casper was the friendly ghost, her guide. And I loved the cartoon series. Well,
oh God, so shy.
They would tell me, be a good little witch. And when I played imaginary games with my cousins, we played witch, and we would scare each other and have lots of fun with that, you know.
Oh gosh,
And
yeah.
we'd play hide and seek, but it was the witch jumping out to scare them, you know. We took turns.
And that's when you weren't a good little witch,
Quiet
but you were
down
having a
up
good
there.
time, yeah.
Because we'd be screaming. But it,
So
yeah,
fun.
you know, I mean, they didn't come to me in a formal bow down and worship me manner. They came to me as friendly helpers and guides that were teachers, but they'd play with me too.
Yeah.
I have a guide that I would say, teach me something, and he'd turn around to me and he'd go, you already know. And he wouldn't teach me a darn thing. He'd play guessing games with me. He'd make me guess at things and figure it out for myself, but he didn't literally sit down and explain anything, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Drove me crazy until I figured out what he was doing. And then
Yeah,
I was okay with
teaching
it.
you that way, yeah.
Like, oh, okay, you want to send me on a goose chase, I know. So
Make me learn it the hard way, but still learning it, yeah. Because some people have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Some people need to be held taken by the hand and go, okay, sit down here and do this.
He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
He made me figure my own way out through things, and I think by his saying, you already know, to me that was a validation that what I intuited was right.
Yeah.
You know, what I could remember, and I from the time I was a very young child, I felt that ancestral memory came through our genes, and that past our spirit knew. I just knew that our spirit knew, or was, the sum total of all past lives lived. It was consciously aware of those past lives. We, as human beings, aren't necessarily. We might have a recall, a flashed memory or something, but the details of those past lives come to a rare few. Most people don't get that information. They might go to somebody that can tell them things, but I've never been big on that. I've always felt if I'm supposed to know it, I'll know it. Otherwise, my spirit's the sum total, and I'll pay attention to what my spirit's telling me.
Okay. Yeah. So there are people out there who do past life readings, and there was a gentleman on a show that I was listening to, and he does past life readings, and he also did past life regressions. And I asked him which one he enjoyed the most, and he said he likes to help people with their past life regressions because they get to relive it. They get to understand it. It's not just me telling you, okay, you did this and this and this and that. They get to experience what they did in the past. So which is,
I think the regression is very different from a reading, and I've done both. And I'm not big on the readings because they don't resonate with me. The ones, at least the ones I've experienced, don't. But the regressions have, very much so. So I think there's a big difference between the two.
Yeah, I had a friend. He went to a woman who did a past life reading for him, and the gentleman that he was in a past life, he researched it, and he found out exactly what it was, and it was like so spot on. Like she didn't give a name, but she gave him a time era and everything else. So he researched all the information, and he found out there was an Irishman who was against the English or something. I can't remember exactly. And one of the funniest things is that the picture of the gentleman in his past life had this long mustache that went like this. And when I would talk with my friend on Skype, he had this habit of doing this, but he never had a mustache. So when he showed me the picture of this guy, I'm sitting there going, to me, I'm going, that makes sense. He goes, what do you mean? Because there was a little bit of similarity. He couldn't see it, He said, I don't see, other than it was a very thin man and whatever. He said, I see a little bit, not that much. I said, really? I said, and he's sitting there doing this, and I said, look at the gentleman's face. He says, yeah. It's got this nice mustache. She says, yeah, it's okay. I said, have you ever realized that when we're talking, you do that? You sit there and you play with an invisible mustache? And he goes, oh, he looked at his hand. He goes, hell. But ever since then, he stopped doing it. But it was something that even before, I never thought of it. It was something he used to do. And I asked him, did you ever have a mustache? He said, oh, I had a little one when I was younger. He says, but then I shaved it off. It bothered me. I was like, okay, fine. When I saw that picture of who he was in the past life to who he is now, it just sort of like, okay, that's why he does this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
When you can resonate with that information and do something with the insight, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I've had instances where things have come through to me directly, which I prefer, that have explained things about this incarnation to me and helped me deal with things that maybe I was apprehensive about in some fashion or needed understanding to make improvements with in some way. And I think that what we're shown personally comes to us as an advantage, as something that is going to enhance our lives. And I think when you go at it, whether you go to a shaman or somebody that specializes in that type of thing, you can resonate with what's being presented, then it's a powerful experience and it's going to benefit you.
Yeah.
You don't always get that resonance, and if you don't, that's okay too, and it's okay to say I can't resonate.
Yeah. Well, I've had people give me readings where it doesn't make sense, but I'll take notes, and I actually do take notes. There's been just a few who have, when they've done a reading for me, and it's like spot on, and I was like, okay, I don't even have to take notes. This is like, yeah, just shoot. But it's, and I think because when, like you say, for shows, sometimes when people up and so you want to read, call in, and I'll call in because I can see that there's nobody calling in, and I know that people are waiting to do, to give readings, that they're there for that. I mean, they're for, to talk as well, but they came to the show to give a reading. So I'll call up, and when I can't come up with a question, because half the time when I think of the question, then it's like the half of my brain is going, you already know the answer to that question, darling. He's like, okay. So I just go, can I have a general, please? Because it's funny. I can't. If I don't have a question, it's because almost 90% of the times because I know the answer to it, I just want to admit to it, So it's like, yeah. So, but yeah, I love.
Well, sometimes that's the purpose of the reading too. That to our attention that we do know.
Yeah, I think for me.
A reading needs to resonate with somebody, and if you can't bring the resonance, then you have to be able to say to the person that requested it, I'm sorry, I'm not connecting for you.
Yeah, I've had.
Don't connect 100% of the time, and I don't care what reader you go to, nobody's 100% correct. I've had readings where it feels like everything somebody told me is just made up and nothing has ever come to pass that was in that specific reading. And I've had other readings that are spot on and everything unfolds just as they say it's going to, sometimes in the time frame they're going at, and sometimes it takes longer. And that's another issue I think is very important with a reading is time frames. Because people want exact dates. When's it going to happen? How's it going to come about? And spirit world, when we get our answers, is not functioning on linear time. They don't. They just tell us what's going to happen. And they might tell us the sequence it's going to happen in, but they don't necessarily tell us it. And
it could be today, tomorrow, a week.
That's right. And very often when I'm getting something, I'll get an energy signature that carries information. I'll have a guide saying something to me. The tarot will be talking to me, and I'll get a vision of a season. Something is going to. All that's happening at once.
Yeah,
And then you've got
that's
the
a lot of
client that wants
processing that you have
it
to.
is. And you want to come
Yeah,
across with that information. You've got to decipher it, put it together, and come out with it. And I think when you're on the radio, it's a lot to work with.
yeah. And sometimes on the radio, there's that pressure. Like I did a show last week, and the woman was like, "Do I have to do readings? I don't want to." I said, "Look, this is just we sit and talk. There's nothing major. Just
Mm-hmm.
letting people to get to know who you are. And if you want, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Because I have no hard and fast rule for anything that I do. Okay, do
Mm-hmm.
things, but no spirit. And she it didn't. She got asked a question and it didn't work, and she said, "I'm sorry, I'm not getting it." And I said, "Okay, that's cool, that's fine. That's because I think because for her she was very nervous in the beginning. It was her very first time. She still couldn't figure out why I wanted her to show. And I said because everybody sees you around. You're a comforting. When people see your name in the chat room, it's like a comforting thing. They see you and they say, oh, "Okay, she's there. Fellini's there," and that's okay. Like, yeah. So, but it's like, but she could get it, and I think afterwards she was like, people are like, "Oh, now that they could put a voice to the name, they could put a person almost to the name, and it
Mm-hmm.
still gave you that comfort of who she was, because she may not have been able to snap on the reading, but she wasn't there for that. For me, that wasn't what she was there for. I had her there so people could get to know who she was as
Mm-hmm.
an awesome lady, because I got to know her. Same thing here. I like somebody asked, "What do you do your shows for?" My shows are to show what you're good at, who you are, not what you're good at, but who you are. To show
Mm-hmm.
your heart, and for me, that's the most important thing, is when people get to know the person behind the name. Because like
Not only
everybody,
that, but I think it brings other perspectives. Doing my show, when I have guests on, it brings their perspectives to
mm,
bear, and it's not just my opinion people are getting, but other people's opinion.
yeah,
And so I like to alternate, and that's what I've been doing with my show. I every other week I try to do an evening with me, and I'm going to talk about one topic if it's I've got a lot to say about it, or I might talk about 3 or 4 different topics,
mm-hmm,
and I'll share insight into different areas. And then the next week when I do the show, I'm going to have a guest on, and that
yep,
guest might be a healer, they might be a medium, they might be a physicist, it could be any number of things that they do. But they're sharing their perspectives, and they're teaching in their own way by doing that.
yeah,
And so I like to ask questions about how they came to do what they do, and get to know them, like you say,
mm-hmm,
as a person, and it becomes really informative when you see what their course of learning and growing into their path work really was about, and you start recognizing as a listener, hey, there's lots of ways people come to the. There's
yeah,
similarities,
yeah,
but there's lots of ways that people learn, and there's lots of ways that they get their foundations, and there's lots of modalities to explore, and it's okay to explore several and find out what works for me. And I
yeah.
think that's the validation people need.
Mm. That's
They
like,
need to be encouragement to go
yeah,
ahead and
like
explore.
one of your guests. I have her come on my show. I love my angels.
Uh-huh.
I think pretty much everybody knows that, but I know at least, I'll say, 4 different angel experts, and they each come from a different angle,
Oh, good.
but
Send me their
but
names.
they
I'm
each come from
serious.
a different angle, but they all
Mhm.
have the same foundation. It's like you say,
Mhm.
once every seed is planted in earth, but it's what goes from that seed is different. But they all get to reach the sunshine and the cloud and the rain, and
Uh-huh.
But like I said, I have like I think about 3 or 4 different angel, as I call them, my angel experts, and I don't care what people say. How can you have the same kind? Because that's what I like. Because everybody's different, the same, but different. They all believe in angels, but they all see it different. They all,
That's
you
right.
know.
And the angels themselves are consistent with their
Yep.
universal traits.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these different angles that you're expressing with your 4 different people come to validate those consistencies, those universal truths, and that's the awesome part of it all.
Yep.
When you can see the truth and you can feel it, and people are consistently saying this is how it is because that's their experience.
Yeah.
You may have a slightly different experience, but it's close enough to say, I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Oh, that rings true to me.
Yeah.
That gets
I would
exciting.
love to have a round table of experts. For me, they're experts.
That's what I've started doing.
You know.
That's what I've started doing with the show. I'm going to do my first round table in August, in the middle of the month.
I think I'm going to be sick for my show.
And every month after that, I'm going to do one round table. And I'm going to try to have a panel of 4 guests on the show. And I will ask a question and then let all 4 of them give their answer so that different perspectives. And maybe we'll only get 8 questions instead of my normal 20 to 25, you know.
Yeah, but that's still.
But that's tremendous insight when you bring a variety of people coming from different walks of life together to discuss a common topic.
Yeah.
And our first topic's going to be consciousness. Tell me this and that about consciousness.
I think I'm calling in sick.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah. Make sure
levels.
Yeah, make sure that you let me know what date the round table is.
It'll August 15th. August 15th. It's going to be on. I'll post it at Two Moons Talking.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about it on the show too. So.
Yeah, because I get to listen to you. I sneak in before because my show starts an hour after yours. So I get to sneak in for maybe the first half hour, and it's like, okay, fine, I'm listening. That's where I find one of my guests from your show. I snuck in before my show, and I went, you think she'd come on my show? And you were in the chat room, and you said, ask her. And I was like, oh, shit, okay, I will. And she said, yes, it's Melissa Kitto.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's going to be on a couple of weeks. So.
Good.
Interesting.
Yeah,
She'll be on the other station.
I have no problem with somebody asking a guest on my show to come on their show. I mean, it's good. It's good to get people out there and share the wisdom. So I think it's healthy, and what it does overall, because we can't give the finer details on the you need to really work one-on-one with somebody to give them the finer details. You can't teach Reiki on the air. You can't do it.
No.
You have to sit down with the person and get their way of connecting. And that's just an example. But what we can do is we can talk about the theory behind it, how it works, what to kind of watch for, different ways things can appear. And we can give an overview that instills the desire, the inquisitiveness, the inspiration to initiate their journey into seeking and spiritual development. And that's what it's all about, because we're so much more than the physical being.
It's so funny when you said that, and we can. For me, all of a sudden, I saw planting the seed. But with the seed came a question mark, and the seed was the point at the bottom. So we planted the seed with the question mark on top. That makes us all, whoever is sharing their wisdom, makes us go out and question.
Sprout and be.
Exactly. Like, okay. Here's the seed. Go plant it, darling. You know, it's like, here, we planted it. Now go figure out what the heck it is. And that's what I like about, all of that I do and learn, and people I speak to, is they make me think. They make the hamster run crazy. Sometimes
Sure,
there and goes,
sure.
are you out of your mind, Darlene? Yep, I am. So let's just learn it. It's got to be something. If you think about it, that means it's something for me to learn about.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
And I think we can, even if we don't agree necessarily with somebody, or
Mm-hmm.
um, we maybe they are going to inspire us to look into something that we can resonate with later on. There's always something to learn.
Yeah,
Either we learn
exactly.
what we resonate with, or we're learning about what we don't resonate with,
Mm-hmm.
what we do want to be and what we don't want to be, and then
Yep,
we change accordingly, or we'll
exactly.
strengthen what we already are.
Yep.
And I do feel that when we can recognize that we are a spiritual being, I mean, that was the first thing that my guides taught me when I was little, was that you're going to grow up and you are going to teach people that they are a spirit in a human body, not that they are a human body with a spirit, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
And that difference is our consciousness, our awareness of the spirit within us, because when we're aware of it, we can look through those eyes at the world and everything changes then.
Yes, it
The
does.
illusion falls away and the spirit of the world of this lifetime comes forward, and we can see things for what they are, and all of a sudden we can talk to the stones, and we can talk to the plants, and we can talk to the trees, and we can talk to the animals, and we understand a variety of languages, not through verbal discussion
Yeah.
necessarily, but through the energy signature and the essence of grace. When we learn how to read those energy signatures, boy, oh boy, do we gather information.
Yeah.
And we learn to trust.
Yeah.
And our intuition is the core of it. That
Hmm.
sensory impression that we get, whether it's hearing something telepathically or seeing something through our vision or just feeling something through clairsentience. We
It's
all
funny.
have that ability. We brought it with us, and we need to learn to develop it.
Yeah. When where I live, there was a property next door that was all trees. And
Mm-hmm.
I used to go in there and that's where I would have my moment of silence and I would,
Mm-hmm.
talk to the trees but half of my mind was going, they don't really listen to me, but the other half was going, yes, they do, you understand. And one day I was at work and I felt this sharp, sharp pain in my heart. And I was like, what the heck was that? And it was just a dull thud afterwards, but it was like somebody stabbed a knife through my heart. And it wasn't the pain that I would say, call an ambulance type of thing. I knew it wasn't mine, sort of,
Oh,
do you understand what I'm saying? And then I was like, okay, it sort of stayed there as a light feeling, but I
mm-hmm.
still knew there was something was hurting something, and I just couldn't figure it out. When I got home at the end of the day, they had started cutting down the trees on the
Oh,
property next to me. It was
oh,
sold, and the person was building, and he was cutting down the trees. And I said to my husband, I said, when did the first tree fall? And he said, around noonish, and that's when I felt the pain in my heart. And that first tree that fell actually fell half on our property. I took a
you
picture
have
of
the
it when I came home.
connection.
And it was at that moment that I was like, there is that connection. That was like the light bulb moment for me, that's saying, you know what, my going out there and my talking wasn't for nothing. There was actually a connection. And that night I was like, they had taken down quite a few trees, and the guy who was building was a guy. The trees that he took down, he cleaned them on spot, and he used them to help build the houses that he was building. It wasn't just tossed into trash or made to firewood or whatever, you know. But I also knew that there was a lot of spirits being displaced. So Darlene, okay, I sort of sat there and looked out my window and I said, hey, I know you guys, it's Bright and the Fairies, and, all my little creatures from the forest have right now no place to go because they're tearing. So come on to my house. This is
Oh,
Darlene.
yeah.
Come on into my house and stay until you can find a place to go. Well, somebody said, you should have done that after I did it. I was like, well, they drove my cat crazy for 6 months. He did not walk into the bathroom. And I couldn't figure out what the heck was wrong with the cat. And then one day I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I was like, okay. I went into my room and I sat down on my bed. Okay, guys, this is the room you have to stay in. You cannot drive the cat crazy. You cannot be running around, Could you please just stay in the room? So the cat very, very, for a while, was very, very skittish about going into the bathroom. It's like, thank God I didn't have his kitty litter box in there. Never gone into the bathroom.
Isn't it amazing how the animals respond to the spirit when they're present? I had a dog, and I was sleeping one night and got 3 spirit visitors that woke me up, and they took human form, and they were all in blue, very visible, and they were very small, like leprechaun height,
Okay.
And they were little people, and my dog saw them and was trying to protect me and was, being aggressive toward them, and they were teasing him. They were jumping around the room and just teasing the daylights out of him. And he'd go at one, and it would jump over here, and he'd have to go over there after it. And they had him bouncing all around the room. I had to grab him and hold him in my lap and say, "What do you want?" But the animals know, and often they will be indicators for us when we don't see something ourselves.
Yeah.
Or, like you say, out of the corner of your eye, you might catch a flash but not see the spirit form. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And on that occasion, I was given 3 seeds, is what I call them, 3 little bits of information. They each spoke a single sentence to me. And that sentence, after they were gone, opened up to be 3 very distinct assignments for my past work, and proceeded to unfold for years.
Wow.
So you just never know what's going to come of something like that. But I think to offer them your home was a very
it didn't, and I didn't even think about it. It was just, I just sat there and I said, okay, come on. And then what I didn't realize was some of them had gone next to us. What I live is in a semi-detached house, and they're side by side. And my neighbor, she had moved in, and she said her dog was perfectly normal when they lived elsewhere. But then he started snapping, in the air and watching up. And I was like, she goes, Darlene, because she knew who I was. She goes, Darlene, did anybody from your house over to my house? And I was like, no, they didn't. And then she told me what the dog was doing, and I was like, okay, fine, sorry. Here I'm causing trouble in 2 households with 2 sets of pants. So, but he stopped doing that, and they have since left. But I think there's sort of 1 or 2 that sort of around, because every so often my cat will be like, do, 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 do. It's like, okay, who are you watching?
They know they're welcome, so they're going to come
exactly.
and call on you once in a while.
Yeah. So it's like, but they don't come and call on me. They come on the cat just to drive him crazy, because it's hysterical. My cat is like,
well, they like to play with them. They like that they are seen by the animals. Yeah. I swear they do. And they don't mean to cause harm.
No.
Unless you've done harm to them, they're not going to do harm to you. And so it's an innocent play, but it can cause havoc in the human mind. It can be very distracting.
Like, until I figured out what was going on, I thought the cat was losing his mind. And then it's like, Darlene, could you tell him to stay in the one room? I was like, okay. So the cat was like, okay, I'm back in the bathroom now. Because he would sit in the window and watch the woods, because that's where I found him. This kid was in the woods. So he would just sit there and watch the woods. And when I found him, he was like, he sat in my hand. Now he's a freaking horse. But so that's where he would sit. And so when my friends were over and he couldn't sit, because he would sit in the windowsill which is about this wide, and he sort of hung off. They were teasing him to the point where he would actually fall off the window ledge. I was like, stop doing that, you know. So, but they behaved, and he behaved, and now they come back every so often and visit him because I could sort of see the same reaction as when they were here. Yeah. I was like, okay. Interesting. I hadn't thought about them in a while. Cute. Now, you have a show on Blog Talk Radio. We've spoken a bit about it. How was Cinnamon Moon at Night? How long have you been on Blog Talk?
Oh, gosh. I want to say about 9 years. Roughly, yeah.
I'm going to catch
up.
While.
I don't even remember what year it was when I started that. I'm addle-minded here. I've been on for a long time, and I've had people ask me, you know, do you want to come over to my station? And I've tried different things, and you know, Blog Talk's where I'm comfortable, so I just stay there. But
you come and visit us.
Oh, I come visit you, and I go all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
You and Chris and a few others, and you know, I've got my friends. If they've got a radio show and I'm free, I'm going to go listen to somebody. You know, if they're on, I'm there.
Yeah, for some reason you don't listen to my show on the other show.
Well, you know, it's hard. Sometimes I'm not logged on. I'm just listening.
No, it's because your show and my show on the other channel are on the same days and times.
That and at other times I'm working.
Yes.
I have to be available for clients, so I've got my finger on the mute button, and I miss half the show, you know. So I have to go back into archives if I'm hooked on the topic. But
yeah,
you know, you do what you can. But yeah, I love radio. And funny thing is, when I first started radio, you heard my voice shaking for 3 months. I was terrified. I didn't want to get on. I had guidance and other people coming to me with messages that I was supposed to do radio and TV, and I said, no way, that's not me. I'm not going that public. You know? So that was going on for 6 months or more, and finally I told River, I said, if you'll come on with me, I'll do radio. She said, sure, I'll go do it with you. So the two of us did it for years. And then she broke off and went in her direction, and I went in mine, and we've been able to be supportive of one another since then. And Gypsy comes on the show every once in a while too, and talks about things that she's doing. So it's fun. It's fun, and I love radio now. But when I first started, I was terrified.
I know.
Weren't you?
It
Weren't you nervous?
was hysterical the first. I was, and the thing was, there was butterflies in my stomach. I could feel my body shaking. Nerves was like not even. But no, everybody said we couldn't tell by your voice. My chat room crashed. And I was like, I was still talking. I guess luckily my guest was somebody I knew from where I live, and so we had conversations. She's the owner, co-owner of my esoteric shop where I go when I find my my crystals and my cards and whatnot. So I was comfortable with her. But when the chat room crashed, because we couldn't have people asking questions in the chat room, I was like, okay. And thank God there was no camera, because I'm like, oh my God. You know? And the funniest thing was, it was my daughter who crashed the chat room. She had put on an emotion con, because they were using their phones to listen, and they had put in an emoticon that wasn't supported by, but the producer went, okay, that's fine, it's okay, I fixed it, it'll never happen again. So it was a good thing, because they showed him where there was a crack in the thing, so he put the glue and the spackle and the whole bit. But afterwards, people going, I didn't realize you were nervous. Like, really? How's it? I went, no, I still get nervous once I hear the music though. Because I have for me it's Roar by Katy Perry. When I hear the first note, then it's like everything just starts goes.
Yeah.
Because I have 101 things running through my mind going, okay, what am I going to ask and who am I going to ask? And I sit there and like here with you, I'm doodling. I made questions beforehand. And sometimes certain people will answer the question. I'll ask one question and they'll ask the whole, my sheet low questions even before I get the second question out.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like,
yeah.
what do I ask next?
Well, I like to listen to what people are saying because I make my bullet point questions too. But a lot of times they'll say something that triggers more curiosity for me. So I'll jot down. I've always got a pad and paper with me, and I'm jotting down the next question I want to ask.
Exactly. Well, that's what I did.
But when I first started, I got a literal fist in my throat that I had to push beyond. And it was painful, physically painful, to get words out. I just was a wreck. I didn't like public speaking. And I had done public speaking in the past, and I had the same reaction. I would have anxiety attacks.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah.
It's
I would
terrible.
have the same
And now you
shake.
can't shut me up, obviously.
Yeah. But you know what? Somebody, when I was, a friend of mine, she had said that she says, your voice is so calming and so soothing. You should make adult sleepy time, recordings. I'm going, that means I'd have to read something. Because then when I read, it's like, and who is, it sounds choppy. It's just sort of got to come out naturally. She started doing videos on Facebook. And that's when somebody says, well, why don't you have a radio show? It's like, who's going to want me on their radio? Seriously, And somebody had mentioned Paramania Radio, and I said, okay, I can't hurt to ask. I was a guest on the show on Paramania, so I didn't have to send in a sample. I was like, I sent in things. If you want to hear who I am, listen to the show at this one, and I got the answer back for Paramania like 2 days before I got the answer back for IntuiTalks. I'm like, holy shit. It all just sort of. So I started off with Paramania, and because with IntuiTalks, I wasn't sure. I wanted to do it with my sister and have her input and help have her with her questions, do a sister team, but she's just not ready for it. So I was like, okay. So I had a friend in the chat room, Jennifer Sherney, who said, come on, do it. She's a sweet, pushy little woman. And who I thank every time that I speak to her. I say, thank you. She goes, I only nudged you. I said, no, you shoved me over the edge. But I'm having fun with it. And the day that I stop having fun, the day that I look at what I do as a job, okay, not as my passion, that's when I will stop. And right now I have a good time, and it's passion, and I get to meet people. I get to hear different points of view, and people are like, really? How do you know these people? How did you? Well, Cinnamon, I just asked, and I've been listening to her, so she sort of knows me from stalking around in her room for a long time, and there's people that I've asked, and they're going, really? Where did you get them? I was like, I sent them an email, or I just sent them on Facebook, and I went, sounds like an interesting person. I'll try, because,
That's like with my roundtable discussions. I have a long list, and Jennifer's on it, of people that I want to invite on the roundtable discussions for different topics.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to take the same topic every month.
No.
I want a new topic. And so I need people that are familiar with that ground. I've got my questions, and I'm going to let them do the answer, and I may or may not throw an opinion out there, but I want 4 people each time. And so, like, Jennifer, you're listening, I'm going to invite you to do a medium show with me and talk about what the work is to be a medium, and I'm going to bring people from different backgrounds and perspectives so that they can bring their knowledge and share a wealth of it with my listeners. And so I'm excited about that aspect. I think that's a wonderful thing, and if you can do roundtables, do them.
Well, I think I'll be doing my roundtables here because I only have a 1 hour at Armenia, and it's not enough time to do for the questions that you say, for, get in depth sometimes. But another person who's in the chat room, pointing to my computer, is the medium. You guys should connect as well. She is an awesome medium, super lady. So, hey Dee, you're going to Dee, you're going to send Cinnamon Moon request. You guys are gonna get. She's gonna be somebody interesting for on your show. I'm gonna be listening. See Jennifer's.
Wonderful.
Yes, she is.
Wonderful. Yeah. I think it's good because different mediums work in different ways and have different perspectives on who they're working with and who's coming through and how to handle it and what can or can't be done. And everybody has their own style, and I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Whether you're a medium or you're a healer or you're a normal investigator or you're a spiritual coach, it doesn't matter what you do. Maybe you're a storyteller, a seer. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is that you're doing it and you can share it with the world and let people know who you are and where you can be found and how you can help them.
Exactly.
And it helps everybody. It helps the listener and it helps the guest on the show. So I love
that it. Does. Yeah. Well, you can. I'll give you the link to. But Dee has been on this show with me, IntuiTalks, and she did a couple of readings, two or three, I forget, and she did a few readings for people in the chat room. So, and
Do you have them in archives?
Yep.
Okay. Well, inbox me the links if you would.
I will. I like when I connect people. It's fun. That's one of the things I like to with this show and any other shows that I do. It's connection to make people. Yeah, on PR. But yeah. Oh gosh, sorry. I have to be very careful how I itch. Mama D, Darlene took that big step yesterday and we got a tattoo.
Oh.
It was
scratch.
No, it's behind me. Tattoo. It's right here.
I know, it's pretty.
It's a butterfly, I think. Everybody goes, well, it figures. Yeah, young girl who did it. It took a while to find the right person, and I was comfortable with her, so she was suggested to me by the people.
River has some tats, and they're pretty. They're pretty.
Yeah. Somebody said to me, they're addictive.
It's a special person to get one, though. My blood sister has them, too, and one of our sons has sleeves. And I just look at that arm and I go, that had to hurt so bad.
It hurts.
Do it for nothing.
It does hurt, but I've been wanting one for a long time, and I finally found the tattoo that I wanted, the butterfly that I wanted. I've seen some awesome ones, but they were like really in detail, and I'm going, I'm sorry, that sucker's going to hurt a lot, So this one I found, and I was like, and I found after I fell in love with that it was a butterfly symbol for the oh goodness. What is that disease that's out there that's that makes you hurt and the doctors can't figure out what it is?
Fibromyalgia?
Thank you. It's the fibromyalgia butterfly. And I was like, cool. And I was like, I didn't know this until I did a search on it, and it's the butterfly for the fibromyalgia, I'm call it. And it's like, really? And I'm scratching behind. But it took me a while to find the one I wanted, and she was suggested to me by a few people, and I was like, okay. It was an exchange of energies. So we hit, But my son has them. My daughter has a few. My youngest son, I was like, he says, Ma, can I get one? I said, when you can pay for it, because I ain't paying for it, So he's tattoo free now. He's got the hair, all kinds of hair going on there, but yeah. But no, there's
a man at my grocery store who works there, and he has a tattoo on the back of his head. And I had to stop him in the aisle. I said, that had to hurt like a son of a gun to have. I mean, there's no give, Oh.
No.
I wouldn't want one
Oh,
on my head. No.
I have a
I'm
few.
too much of a
I
coward for that.
I
You're
think
right.
tattoos are beautiful. Some of the artwork are like awesome and amazing. And I have one gentleman who comes into my store, and he's got different tattoos. And he came in one time, and one of the gentlemen, one of the kids that I was teaching as, and he said, "Wow, you got some nice tattoos." He says, "Yeah, Mom has seen almost all my tattoos." I looked at him and I go, "Almost all?" Because he's coming in shorts before, and he says, "Yeah, you've never seen Phoenix." And I went, "I don't want to know." You could just imagine where, and he's a very he's a very flamboyant person, and he will show everybody. I was like, just keep the pen. He says, "No." I said, "No, I don't want to see them." He said, "My mom." I said, I don't want to go there." He's like, "Yeah, but no, it's okay, fine." So yeah, the people put them in, and for me personally, I think a tattoo has to have a story behind it.
Oh,
I know
I
some
think
people
most of them
don't.
do. Yeah, most of
Some
them
people
do.
don't. Some people just like, let's put it there. That one looks good there. But most of the people that have a tattoo have a story behind them.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that I ever, my eldest son, that I kind of questioned was he had a teardrop put here. And I was like, first off, that had to hurt like a so and so. Okay. I said, because it's on your cheekbone. I said, but
Yeah.
why? I said, why the hell would you have, sorry for the cussing, why would you have a tattoo on your face? And he said, one of his sons had passed, a very, very dear man, and he said it was for him. I said, okay, for that reason I approve. I said, but don't put anywhere on your face, because I've seen them where
for
they,
most people, the teardrop by the eye means that you've taken a life.
oh, okay.
It's a gang symbol. So you have to think about what you're doing and what symbology is out there. And that's a good example of what I was saying earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
There's universal symbology, and then there's personal symbology, like your son felt. That was a reminder of his friend. And so you have to really think about these things. And that can be mistaken by those that think it means something else, So I'm sure he gets a lot of questions.
Nah, he's the big furry thing. Nobody questions. He's like,
nobody questions. All right.
No, we live in a small town. So everybody,
okay.
first off, everybody knows who I am. It's like, oh, aren't you so-and-so's mom? Yes, I'm so-and-so's. Yes, I finally have, my children are all grown up. I'm not, at the school going, this is mom and this is not, it's like, okay, no, I am now a person of my own. Everybody knows me from work. And don't you work at the depot? Yes, I do. But, so very people ask my children, or like I said, people are more afraid of what their mother will do to them than what my children will do to you. It's like, don't cross her. Why not? Because that's Darlene's son, and she'll get mad, and she's like, okay, fine. But Karen, Illinois, they had a teardrop. They related to the gang sign. I guess I can see that. Okay, first off, my son's never killed anybody. He's maybe killed some bugs and spiders, but
you stated that for him it meant a reminder of a dear friend.
Exactly.
But I've seen some of those prison shows on TV. My husband likes to watch that kind of stuff, and they talk about the gang signs, and that's one of the things.
Okay, I'm gonna tell my son the next time that I see him. I'll talk to him. I'm gonna say, do you know what that means in prison? That means you killed somebody.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of signs. There's numbers that mean different things, and different gangs, and culturally. There's all kinds of stuff. And they say prison tattoos tell a story too, and you'll get that side of it, and it may be the darker side of tats, but there's this very spiritual side to them too, and a lot of people will have tats that are symbolic of their spiritual journey. Their totem animals. There will be.
I have a friend who's getting a tattoo on his back, and it's like it's a wheel, It's his full wheel. It's going to encompass his whole back, and it's got everything on it. I've seen. I don't even know what the symbolism is, but I know I've seen it has something to do with spirituality, and I'm like, that's going to hurt like a Dickens.
Is that a
And
medicine wheel?
Probably, but it's very busy. It's not just like. It's quite possible it's a medicine wheel because he's a very special man, and but
Yeah,
it's like
my blood sister is Mohawk and Cherokee, and she has a medicine wheel on her back with a feather for her son that has crossed over, and some other significant symbols that are attached to the wheel.
mm-hmm.
And represent different aspects of her spiritual journey, and it's a beautiful tat, beautiful. And it takes up the whole shoulder blade area of one side on her
No,
back.
this is going to take up his whole back. He showed us a picture of it once. I'll
Brave.
find that. Yeah, oh yeah. You know, look at it. It's got, but that has a deep meaning to him.
Of course.
Oh, Jesus.
I have seen people on spiritual paths that will tattoo their entire face to be their power animal, like tiger striped face and turn their face into a tiger pattern.
Wow.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now that's to me like this.
That's extreme.
That's it.
Yeah.
That to me that's it. Like somebody said, "Oh, it's going to become addictive." I went, no, because it hurt. Mind you, the most it wasn't that bad. The worst part about it for me, I wouldn't do it again. One time, it's like childbirth. You don't want to do it again, but I'm not going to get addicted to it. Was when she would clean it. You hear her spray the rag, and then I'm ready for the cold rag, and then she sprays my thing, and I was like, oh, like when you're
what does that
and you
do?
get
Numb your arm or something?
No, it's just cleaning between colors, sort of thing. Cause when they do the dark, and as they go, it sort of smudges. So she does each one, but then when she's got to go to the next color, she's got to take all the excess color. So it's like, a cold spray of, I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh. It's like, when you're hot and they spray you down with the holes all of a sudden.
Yeah,
it's like
no,
that
thank
cold.
you.
Like, oh, that's the only time I screamed. That's the only time I screamed when she was spraying with this thing. I was like, and she's laughing herself hysterically. I said, you know what? Just you wait. Turn them out. Fair play. I'm going to get you there.
Well, it's like when I was young, I got my ears pierced, and we did it with ice cubes, clothespins, and needle and thread, the old-fashioned way. And I will never get another piercing.
Nope. My best friend did mine.
That cured me. No, thank you.
Ice cubes and
not hurt. It'll numb your ear. We'll put the ice on there, and then we'll pinch it with a clothespin, and it'll go so numb, and we can just poke that needle right through, and you won't feel a thing. Right?
No. Yeah.
It was so painful.
I did. For me, the worst was I had my girlfriend. We put ice gun, and of course I was 3 sheets to the wind. I was drunk. I admit. Put ice cube on both sides of my ear, and we waited. And she pierced the ear with an earring, one of those, the regular ones with the point that you could actually use as a piercing ear. Yeah. But I heard it going through my ear.
Yes.
I heard that disgusting sound. I was like, oh God, give me more booze, because you can't just do one. You got to get the other one done. And I was like, it hurt. Oh, it hurt. Just get me wrong, it hurt. But the worst part was
I don't wear earrings enough, so I have to keep reopening my hole because it closes. Every time I want to put earrings on, I have to reopen it.
Yeah. Okay, we're done.
Yeah, we're getting gross.
This is what I love about my shows. They can start with one thing and we spoken from spirituality to tattoos and gross ear piercing.
Well, I did the pierced ear because I hate clip earrings. I hate them. They don't stay on well, or they're pinching too tight, or they're just never comfortable. Mm-hmm. And so I don't like the clips. And then I thought, well, pierce is better. And it is once you're fine with it.
Yeah, once you're done. But now we understand why they get children when they're babies and they're young to do because they forget my pain. I was old enough to still remember the sound of that thing. It's like, ugh. You know. But what I can understand is when they pierce different parts of their anatomy. I get earrings. It's pretty, you know. You get to see things, and I get some of the. Why pierce your tongue? Why pierce your nipples? I don't get it. Maybe I'm old. I don't get it.
To go that route. No, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I have to say, one of my children got his nipples pierced. It's not my youngest one. I said, oh, show that to your grandmother. He's like, Mom, no, show it to your grandma. So my mother goes, really? Let me hang something on it. Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
She didn't, but it just made him put a shirt back on. I kind of like to embarrass my children with their grandmother. It's fun. But, yeah. So it's almost time for us to go. I need to thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
This was an awesome show, and I'm going to get your book, and I'm going to read it, and I'm sure I'm going to have a bajillion and one question. So when I do, will you come back?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Ooh.
Anytime.
And quick shout out to everybody, D Medium, who you will connect with offline. Jennifer's journey, thanks baby doll for being here. Melissa, a little late, but hey, better late than never. And we lost Robert and you'll catch us. I'm here all the time. Melissa and Robert, Missy D had to leave early, but it was early in the morning first. She's in New Zealand, and Robert had to go. I don't know why, but thank you everybody for tuning in, and we're gonna be back I'm going to be back next week. I have no idea who I'm with because I go from week to week with this show. I don't book anybody. All of a sudden something will happen, and I'll find somebody for next week's show. If not, Jennifer. She started me on this. Anyway. Yep. Thank you very much, Cinnamon. And I will be listening to your shows, if not live, in the archives. And I'm looking forward to August 15th when you have your first roundtable. And I'm looking forward to when Jennifer will be on that roundtable.
I am too.
And
that'll be great.
Yeah. And I will give you the names of my angel experts.
Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you. Okay. Well,
thank you, everybody. Have a good show. Have a good rest of the weekend. It's almost the weekend.
Blessings, everyone.
Much love, darlings. Bye-bye.